Shocking truth. My dad's emergency key led to a devastating secret during my 9-month pregnancy. The midnight air was thick with tension and an electrifying sense of dread. It all started with a strange ring echoing through the halls of Wilson Manor. My dad, always the mysterious figure in my life, had a secret he kept locked away literally. He had this old emergency key, worn and faded like the memories he refused to share. But that night, as I tossed and turned, my instincts screamed at me to follow the sound. What could he be hiding? With each creak of the floorboards beneath my feet, I felt a tightness in my chest. Secrets swirled in the shadows like mist. I tiptoed toward the attic, where whispers of long-buried truths seemed to call my name. The atmosphere was oppressive, suffocating. I could almost taste the dust of years gone by and hear the echoes of lost conversations. The key gathered dust in the dim light, begging to be turned. Then I found it, the door marked restricted. My pulse quickened. The air crackled with anticipation. What could possibly lie behind this door? As I fumbled with the key, I was hit with a rush of fear. Was I ready for what I might uncover? The key slid into the lock as if it had been waiting for me. A click echoed, and I felt a jolt of electricity shoot through my fingers. I held my breath. Suddenly, the door swung open, revealing a room frozen in time. Old photographs lined the walls, each snapshot telling a story. A childhood that wasn't mine, faces I didn't recognize, secrets lingering in their smiles. Shadows danced across the walls like ghosts eager to taunt me. What had my father hidden? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. I took a deep breath and stepped inside, my heart hammering. Every piece of furniture seemed to have a heartbeat, a secret of its own. As I turned to leave, I noticed a dusty box in the corner. It felt like it was calling to me, a whisper pleading for attention. My hands were trembling as I approached it, every sense on high alert. What devastating truth could it hold? Did it have something to do with my pregnancy? A sudden chill swept over me, as if the room itself was warning me to turn back. But I was too far in now. I needed to know. As I knelt beside the box, a sense of dread washed over me. What if my whole life had been built on a lie? What if I wasn't who I thought I was? I was just a heartbeat away from uncovering something I wasn't ready for. The box loomed before me, its faded paint and tarnished edges seeming to pulse with secrets of their own. I hesitated for a heartbeat, my mind racing. What if it contained proof of hidden betrayals? A part of me wanted to slam it shut and run away, but the curiosity gnawed at me like a relentless beast. I felt drawn to it, the way a moth is lured to a flickering flame. Even knowing it could get burned, that I wiped off the layer of dust with my trembling hand, revealing faded letters scrawled across the top. They felt familiar yet foreign, a language I almost recognized. My fingers danced over the scrawls, tracing every curve and angle with a thought that wouldn't let go. Who wrote these and why? I couldn't shake the feeling that they were meant for me. Before I could think better of it, I lifted the lid. A musty scent wafted out, enveloping me in memories I never lived. Inside, I saw a collection of items. Sun-bleached photographs, a small music box that looked like it hadn't been touched in decades, and a thin envelope sealed tightly. My breath caught in my throat as I reached for the envelope first. Only the sound of my heartbeat filled the silence around me, a steady drumroll leading to an inevitable revelation. I tore it open carefully, needing to preserve whatever language of the past this might hold. Inside was a letter, crumpled and yellowed with age. As I unfolded it, a small slip of paper fell out and fluttered to the floor like a whisper from the past. I scrambled to catch it. Glancing at the contents, I instinctively recognized my father's handwriting. It was scrawled hastily, filled with a sense of urgency. "For my dear Sarah," it began. The name hit me like a punch to the gut. Sarah? I had never heard that name before. Felt foreign, alien. Was this a sibling I never knew about? But the letter continued, speaking of choices and consequences, love and pain. "You must understand, my actions were driven by fear. Fear of losing you, of losing the truth." My heart raced as I absorbed each word. With every line I read, a tide of emotions surged through me. What truth? What choices? What had my father done that necessitated this plea? The air felt thicker. Each breath I took tasted heavier, like walking through quicksand. Then I caught a glimpse of something on the floor, a photo. I bent down and picked it up, revealing a smiling couple holding a small child. The look of joy etched on their faces. The child was unmistakably me. The couple? Strangers. I felt a cold shock ripple through me, penetrating to my core. Suddenly, a loud bang rang from the attic door, breaking the heavy silence. My heart leaped in my chest. Someone was trying to get in. I froze, spine tingling as dread clouded my mind. Who was it? My father? Someone with worse intentions? I needed to hide fast. Tucking the letter and photo back into the box, I slipped into the shadows of the room, heart pounding against my ribcage. Every heartbeat echoed in my ears. The door swung open, and in stepped a figure, shrouded in darkness. Did they know I was here? The moment had come. What would they reveal? Or worse, what might they take away? My breath hitched as the figure stepped cautiously into the attic, silhouetted against the dim light streaming through the cracked window. I crouched low, my heart hammering like a trapped bird inside my chest, straining to discern who or what had invaded this sacred space filled with my family's lost memories. The figure paused near the door, scanning the room as if sensing something amiss. Shadows engulfed them, but I could see enough to note their stature, tall and lean, with a hint of familiarity that sent chills down my spine. My father? Was he returned to take away whatever remnants of truth I had grasped? Or was it someone else? Someone who wanted to keep the past hidden? Silence stretched, thick and suffocating. I resisted the urge to breathe heavily, but each exhalation felt like a thunderclap in the stillness. The figure moved toward the box, their footsteps muffled by decades of dust. Every nerve screamed at me to escape, yet morbid curiosity rooted me in place. What were they after? Was it treasure or a skeleton buried in this cursed attic? The figure knelt beside the box, fingers tracing its edges with reverence. I could almost see them lifting the lid, perhaps finding the letter or the photographs. What if they discovered the truth I was grasping at? Panic washed over me, and I bit down on my lip to stifle a whimper. "Sarah." The voice cracked like a dry branch, barely more than a whisper. The name sent tremors through me, a punch I wasn't ready for. They knew who I was, and that name felt like a lost key clicking into place. I forced myself to lean forward, straining to catch a glimpse of their face, yet dread had glued my feet to the floor. Each second felt like an eternity, stretching on as they rifled through the contents of the box. When a soft click echoed in the stillness, I froze. The music box, the small, ornate one that looked as if it hadn't seen light in years, had sprung open, playing a haunting melody that twisted my insides. A soft, mechanical lullaby filled the space, weaving its way around us as if trying to bridge the gap between the living and the ghosts of our past. "Why, Dad? Why did you leave me this?" The figure murmured, their words wrapping around my heart like a vice. My stomach sank further. "Could it be? Who are you?" I whispered, my voice trembling as I pulled strength from the shadows. I needed to know, needed to confront the intruder who held the fate of my family's secrets. The figure turned sharply, and in that split second, the light revealed their face. A face that mirrored my own, my eyes, my smile, deep lines etched in confusion and sorrow. "Who are you?" I repeated, louder now, my voice cracking on the final syllable. As if tethered by an invisible string, we stared at each other, two halves of a lost identity, each demanding answers the other could not provide. The moment was electric, thick with unsaid words and unaddressed memories. I felt the weight of our shared existence crush the air out of my lungs, a desperate need to fill the void between us. But just as the realization began to seep in, I heard the heavy footsteps approach the attic stairs. "Hide!" The figure urged me urgently, panic flashing in their eyes as they ducked behind the box, pulling the lid closed just as the footsteps reached the attic door. I remembered the letter, the photographs, the truth buried inside that would unravel everything. Would I ever learn what my father had done? Or was this new face intent on hiding it? As the door creaked open, I felt the ground shift beneath me. Would I find ally or enemy in the shadows? The moment had come again, and the stakes had never been higher. The door swung wide, and the figure froze just behind the box, barely concealed. My own heart thundered in my chest, a desperate drumbeat urging me to act. But fear rooted me in place, paralyzing my instincts. "Who's up there?" A deep voice boomed from the staircase, reverberating against the attic's wooden eaves. Felt like an earthquake within my soul. I turned to glance at the figure, their eyes wide with fear. They must be felt as trapped as I was caught between the past and present in a dark corner of our shared history. Instinct told me to run. Yet, a surge of rebellion ignited my courage. I couldn't just stay here, a silent witness to my unresolved story. "Stay quiet," I murmured, and we exchanged a look laced with shared urgency. The voice called again, louder, more demanding. "I will count to 3. If you don't come down, I'm coming up." The threat hung in the air, tangible as the dust swirling in the meager light. 3 seconds stretched unbearably long. I wanted to scream, to lash out, but I also wanted to understand who this figure was, and what secrets they held. "Don't move," the figure whispered. The realization struck me like a bolt of lightning, a need to understand my true connection to this person and the past that dangled just beyond reach. 2. The voice echoed ominously. Frantic calculations rushed through my mind. I couldn't just abandon this moment, abandon the truth. "Go," I urged desperately. "I'll stall." "No, you can't. You need to listen to me." 3. The door rattled with urgency. Against my better judgment, I stepped forward, positioning myself as a last line of defense. I needed to protect whatever fragile connection we had just stumbled upon, if summoned by my resolve. The heavy door creaked back on its hinges, revealing a man, his backlit silhouette a figure of authority draped in shadows. "What are you doing up here?" he barked, his eyes narrowing at the music box still open on the floor. "Didn't I tell you to stay out of this part of the house?" My mouth went dry, but I swallowed my fear. I wanted to say something fierce and bold, something that would shatter the power he wielded over me, but my words tangled in my throat. Instead, I glanced back and saw the figure was still hidden, waiting, watching, just looking for something. I stammered, trying to steady my voice with whatever remnants of bravado I could muster. "I thought it might have been up here." "What?" His gaze flickered to the box, narrowing with suspicion. "That's not yours." I hesitated, knowing what lay within that box was the key to everything. Yet the pressure of the moment squeezed my chest like a vice. "Could be. It's family property." Another dangerous silence swept over us. The figure behind the box flinched, and I fought the urge to look back, fearing I would expose our shared secret. With a sudden, sharp motion, he took a step closer, his posture demanding and aggressive. I said to stay away from this attic. "You don't understand what you're meddling with." Ice coursed through my veins. "What have you hidden from me?" I demanded, my voice barely above a whisper but carrying the weight of my challenge. His eyes darkened, revealing something akin to fear, or was it fury? "You're playing a game that you can't win." Just then, the figure behind the box shifted, a breath drawn in that echoed in the stillness. The air crackled, and I could feel the ground shift beneath us again. My heart plunged into my stomach. Was this the moment everything would shatter, the precarious balance tipping? Or would a new truth emerge, exposing all the threads of deception entwined around our lives? "What do you know?" I pressed again, determination flaring within me. The figure may have wanted to remain hidden, but the urgency pushed me forward. With one last glance at the door, I realized this moment wasn't just about uncovering secrets. It was about carving a path to reclaim my own identity. The pulse of adrenaline surged as I prepared for what was to come, but uncertainty gnawed at my insides. Would this confrontation spark a revelation or plunge me deeper into the darkness? Before I could ponder more, the figure stepped from behind the box, drawing the man's attention. "I'm not afraid," they declared, voice rising with a boldness that surprised me. At this moment, everything hung in the balance. The unmistakable promise of a revelation on the horizon, but would it liberate us or send us spiraling into chaos? The man's eyes shot towards the figure. The chaos in the attic suddenly intensified. I felt my breath hitch as panic clawed at my throat. This was at a moment straddling two worlds, one of the past and one of the uncertain present. "What do you think you're doing?" he barked, disbelief mingling with anger. The figure, now visible, held their ground, shoulders squared, eyes colliding fiercely with the man's. "I'm here to find out the truth," they declared, their voice echoing against the wooden walls. It was a brave stand that pulled me closer into the whirlwind of confusion. "Truth?" the man scoffed, lips curling. "There's no truth up here, just dust and secrets." His tone dripped with disdain, yet I sensed an edge of fear lurking beneath his bravado. "What kind of secrets?" I squeezed out, desperate for answers, desperate to unearth everything buried beneath layers of silence like ancient ghosts. "What happened in this house?" Silence fell over us, thick as fog. And then, just as abruptly, he lashed out, "You shouldn't be here. You don't know what's at stake." "Tell me what's at stake," I challenged, feeling the weight of the moment settle heavily on my chest. "All I know is there's something about this attic, something about that box, and you're hiding it from me." His jaw tightened, and I caught a flicker of hesitation crossing his face. "It's not your business," he growled, attempting to mask the frailty of his resolve behind a mask of anger. But then, the hidden figure took a step into the dim light, a rustle of fabric breaking the spell of silence. "You don't get to decide what's hers or what's not. She deserves answers. We deserve answers." The man turned sharply, his face a storm of shifting emotions. For a second, I could see the cracks forming, like the very walls of this attic were about to crumble under the weight of an unbearable truth. "What do you know about me?" I pressed, sensing my heart racing faster with urgency, my voice rising in intensity. "Am I not part of this family? What makes you think you can keep me out of it?" His eyes flickered with something. Was it regret? Had he made a grave error? "Because you are better off not knowing," he spat, anger grappling with something softer. "You think you want the truth? You don't. You have no idea what dangers lie beneath the surface." I could hear my pulse thundering in my ears, drowning me in dread. The music box, still open and inviting, felt like a siren song taunting me with unfulfilled promises. Had it not been for that box, for destiny pushing me to search, would I still be blissfully ignorant? "I need to know," I screamed suddenly, the rawness of the moment tearing through the air like shattered glass. The energy swirled, thickening the atmosphere. "Then prepare yourself," the man retorted, but his voice was wavering now, barely controlling the chaos he had unleashed. "You don't know the monster you're waking." A chill swept through the attic, sending icy fingers crawling up my spine. What had begun as a mere search for a family heirloom spiraled into something darker, something that felt dangerously alive. Tendrils of fear crept in, a warning whisper at the back of my mind. "Tell me," I insisted, stealing a gaze towards the figure next to me, who seemed equally as resolute. Just then, the man lunged forward, sealing off our only escape. "You don't know what you're asking for. This could ruin you." I stood tall, heart racing, defiance coursing through my veins. "Then let it. I want the truth." And as the words escaped my lips, the attic seemed to change. The shadows awkwardly shifted, and in that moment, I felt something shift within me too. Suddenly, the floorboards creaked ominously. The attic held its breath before a shattering sound echoed through the dim space, a glimmer of something breaking free, something ancient. As the dust settled, we all looked towards the noise, and the ominous chill returned, A warning as palpable as the gunmetal clouds outside. What lay beneath the layers of dust and secrets? Would I come out unscathed or regretting that very burst of boldness? And then the air broke further. Each breath became a question yet unanswered. What dark forces had I stirred, and would they come back for me? The floorboards groaned again, almost pleading for calm as the air thickened with tension. I couldn't tell if it was the ancient house settling or something more sinister. All eyes snapped to the shadows, where a dark figure loomed just beyond the flickering light of the dusty attic bulb. What was that? I whispered, my voice barely audible over the pounding of my heart. My pleading gaze shifted between the man blocking our way and the future I feared was unraveling before me. The figure beside me moved closer, their resolve radiating. "We're not afraid of you," they declared, their voice steady. It was odd to feel comfort standing beside someone when everything felt so precarious. Was their courage spilling over onto me? The man, still shielded by anger, breathed heavily, like a wounded animal ready to pounce. "You both don't understand what you're walking into. You think the past is just memories? It's a landmine that can destroy everything." Suddenly, the air trembled. The broken echoes of the house rippled through my skin, setting my nerves on edge. "If we don't face it, it'll always haunt us," I said, trying to find strength in my words, hoping to embolden us all. He let out a bitter laugh that held no humor. "You want to dig into secrets? You'll unearth ghosts that even the bravest among us pray to keep buried." A sound like glass shattering erupted from the corner where the music box had been. The delicate porcelain glimmered in the dim light, shards offering a glimpse into a past I could barely grasp. But instead of dread, curiosity ignited a flame within me. What if that's our only way forward? I proposed, my throat tight as I pointed toward the scattered pieces. The man's eyes darted, calculating. "Every piece you gather could lead to ruin or freedom." His voice lowered, almost intimate. "What's buried here isn't just family drama. It's a web of betrayal, pain, and danger." Danger. That word lingered in the air, curling around us like a snake ready to strike. Even the shadows seemed wary of it. My mind raced, painting pictures of what might lie ahead. "Why can't you just tell me?" pleaded. "You say it's for my own good, but I can feel it there's more here than you're willing to share." The figure next to me reached out, aligned their shoulder with mine, their silent support steadying my wavering spirit. "She has the right to know. If this is truly about protecting her, then the truth is her armor." The man looked between us, a tempest of emotions brewing in his gaze. Something within him was shifting, a flicker of remorse or maybe a hint of recognition. "You're too young for this, both of you. You don't get to decide that," I shot back. "If there are monsters in this attic, then let us face them together." Just then, an unsettling wind swept through the room, snuffing the light as if the shadows had stepped forward to engulf us. A whisper echoed, rising from the depths of the night. It was an indistinct voice, but it felt charged with urgency, desperation. "Help me!" The man's face went pale and his bravado crumbled, revealing a stark vulnerability. "No," he gasped, as if realizing that we were opening a door better left shut. "Who's there?" I called out, fear slicing through me but fueled by a ravenous need for answers. I took a tentative step forward, the shards crunching under my feet, creating a cacophony against the charged silence. The shadows flickered again, revealing flashes, images of a past cloaked in ambiguity, gestures of hands reaching, tears falling. They felt too raw, too close, as if they were echoes of my own soul. "Stop!" the man cried out, arms raising in a desperate plea. "You don't know who that voice belongs to. Then let us find out." My pulse surged as I drew nearer to the glimmering remnants of that shattered box. What awaited me in those depths? Would I discover the essence of my family's silence or provoke a reckoning within the very walls that confined me? And as these thoughts spiraled, the very air shifted again, charged with an energy that crackled, whispering secrets of the past. I took another step, the anticipation, teasing, and in that moment, the attic was not just a physical space, it morphed into a battlefield, where truths would sting and revelations would pull us toward an inevitable collision. And then the voice called again, clearer this time. Help me. Who would answer that cry? And would it be too late? My foot slipped on a shard of porcelain, sending a stab of pain through my toe, but I barely noticed. The shadows pulsed with life, and I could feel their magnetic pull drawing me closer to the fragments of the music box scattered on the ground. My heartbeat was a thunderous roar in my ears, and the air felt thick, electric, alive with the potential for revelation or ruin. Don't do this, the man warned, panic snapping through his voice as he lunged forward. You don't have to know. But I was already there, kneeling amidst the shards, my fingers trembling as they brushed against the jagged edges. It was a dance with danger. One false move could draw blood, just like the truths we were about to unearth. If you know something, tell me, I gasped, desperate for answers, for clarity. The shadows seemed to pulsate in response, almost as if they had their own heartbeat, echoing my inner turmoil. And then, with one final push, I gathered the courage to flip a larger piece over, revealing a hidden compartment underneath. My heart raced as I pried it open, the sound of creaking wood mingling with the whispering shadows. Something cold touched my fingertips, a key, heavy and ornate. My breath hitched in my throat. It felt like a key to unlock not just a door but a dark legacy long concealed. What is it? The figure beside me leaned closer, eyes gleaming with curiosity. I heard them take a shaky breath. Did you find something? Yes, I exclaimed, turning the key over, my fingers brushing its cool, metallic surface. Look, I held it up to the light, the dust particles swirling in its gentle glow, and for the first time, I glimpsed a flicker of something in the man's eyes, a mix of fear and recognition. You shouldn't have done that, he muttered under his breath, stepping back, as if the very presence of the key had invoked spirits neither of us could see. Shadows darted around us, swirling with purpose as the air thickened again, pressing in like a vice. The voice echoed anew, drawing us in. Help me. It sounded so close now, almost tangible, the desperate plea, a siren song pulling at the very fragments of my heart. I shivered, the air colder as I felt chills creep down my spine. What if it's a trap? The man hissed, his eyes darting toward the darkness, as if expecting something to leap at us. What if the past isn't just buried? What if it's vengeful? I looked back at the key, feeling its weight multiply in my hand. We need to know the truth. This isn't just about me, it's about all of us. Something terrible happened here, and it echoes still. Then you're risking everything, he shouted, frustration raw in his voice. It won't just haunt you. It'll consume you. And with that, a gust of wind howled through the attic, rattling the windows, forcing us to brace against the very air filled with a charged tension. The shadows flickered wildly, contorting as if they were alive, revealing images of long-forgotten faces, muffled cries, distorted smiles flashing past me like a video stuck on repeat. Help me! The voice was louder now, sharper, pulling at my sanity. I staggered to my feet, the key held close to my chest, the shadows inching nearer, as if tasting my resolve. Was that voice connected to the cold metal in my hand? I had to know. Are you willing to face what lies beyond that door? The figure beside me asked. Their voice trembled, but their gaze never wavered from the path ahead. And in that moment, all I could think was that the truth was within reach, a dark promise wrapped in fear. With a deep breath, I steeled myself. Together, we would step through these shadows, unlock the past, and confront whatever demons awaited us. But would we emerge whole, or shattered like the porcelain? Let us do this, I whispered, the blood rushing in my ears. And as I turned toward the door hidden deep in those echoes, a chill raced down my spine. Something was waiting for us, a secret held captive, a truth hiding in the dark, pulsing beneath the surface. What would we unearth when we finally turned the key? Would we find a way to rescue the voice echoing through the gloom, or summon the very terror we sought to escape? I was about to find out. The key felt impossibly heavy in my palm as I approached the door, its presence a tangible weight of expectation. My heart pounded violently in my chest, drowning out the frantic whispers of caution clawing at my mind. The man standing beside me, a half-formed ally, Half-Shadows was barely a ghost of the person I hoped he might be. "Are you sure?" he asked, each word laced with trepidation, his eyes darting around the room as if searching for escape routes. This could change everything, and not in a good way. I hesitated. That voice, still echoing in the air, felt as if it had wrapped its tendrils around my heart, pulling me closer. "I have to know. Don't you want to know what happened?" The man's jaw tightened. "Knowing can hurt, you understand. Sometimes ignorance is safer. We both know that it's a lie." My voice trembled, but conviction surged through me. "Are we really going to let fear have the final say?" He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Instead, we stood there, the silence throbbing between us, alive with unspoken fears. Our breaths mingled in the chill that radiated from the door, as if it, too, shared the weight of the decision. I took a step forward and felt the cool surface of the door under my fingers. It would grain a testament to years of secrets sealed within. With a deep breath, I slid the key into the lock. It fit perfectly, as if it had been waiting for this moment. I turned it slowly, the lock clicking loudly in the quiet. My pulse quickened, and I mouthed a silent prayer to whatever spirits lingered in the shadows as the door creaked open. A gust of icy air blasted out, carrying with it a musty scent like forgotten memories clawing their way back into the light. My skin prickled with anticipation as small particles danced in the air, swirling around us in chaotic patterns. Suddenly, a low sob echoed from within. It was the sound of pure despair, raw and aching. I stepped forward instinctively, even as my companion grabbed my arm, eyes wide with fear. "No, we should go." "No," I shouted back, my voice sharpening into a blade that cut through his panic. "It's a call for help. We can't turn away." My heart raced as I took another step inside. The room was dark, filled with thick layers of dust, and the walls seemed to close in, absorbing the light around us. Shapes moved in the corners of my vision, flickering like dying stars. I strained my ears, searching for the source of that haunting sob. There, in the far corner, something glimmered. I squinted, straining my eyes to make sense of the shadow. I could barely see a figure, hunched over, hands covering their face. My breath caught in my throat. "Help me," the voice pleaded again, softer this time, mingled with despair. "I can't alone." Without thinking, I stepped closer before I could stop myself. The man behind me seemed frozen, unable to follow. His fear anchored him in place. "Please, don't get too close," he warned, a tremor in his voice. "But what if we can save them?" I replied, glancing back, urgency slicing through my fear. "What if this is the missing piece?" The figure shifted slightly, arms lowering to reveal a face streaked with tears, muddled sorrow that turned my stomach. It was a face I barely recognized, yet the resemblance was undeniable. My breath hitched. "Mom, is that you?" But before I could react further, shadows erupted from the corners of the room, swirling violently and absorbing the light. A chaotic tempest of darkness surrounding us. "What have you done?" the man shouted, panic lacing his voice. Suddenly, the shadows coalesced into shapes, evolving into grotesque hounds that howled against the silence. Something shook inside me, as if a cosmic thread unfurled, unraveling not just the past, but my very reality. "Are you ready to face the consequences?" A voice hissed from deep within the darkness, sharp and taunting, echoing through the now suffocating air. I froze, about to say anything, but the inevitable dread filled my chest like a stone, and I realized stepping into those shadows could very well cost more than I was prepared to lose. But which truth awaited behind the veil, and how far would I go to uncover it? A chilling laugh reverberated through the room. I felt the ground tremble beneath me. In that moment, I understood I had opened Pandora's box, and the darkness wasn't done with us. Yet what would I have to sacrifice to find out what lay ahead? The shadows writhed like living creatures, and I felt their icy breath against my skin. Every instinct screamed at me to retreat, to pull away from the haunting figure and the chaos around us. But I couldn't. My heart thudded painfully in my chest as I clung to that flicker of familiarity. My mother, lost and broken in this abyss. Stay back. I shouted to the shadows, as if my words could stave off the darkness. But the hounds only howled louder, their shapes becoming clearer, solidifying into forms that made my stomach lurch. There was no escape now. I had opened the door, and the past was spilling out. Help! The voice, still echoing from the corner, twisted through the darkness, almost drowning me in its desperation. Help me, please. The man beside me finally uncovered the weight of his fear. This isn't right. We need to leave. Now. His breath came in short gasps as he tugged my arm. But I shook it off, determination surging. No, I can't abandon her. Not again. I took another step forward, feeling the pull of her cries. Every heartbeat drew me deeper into the writhing shadows. Suddenly, a burst of light erupted around us. I shielded my eyes, heart racing. The shadows recoiled. The hounds faltered, they were frightened. My heart swelled with unexpected hope as I glanced back at my companion. There was confused disbelief in his eyes, but the shadows were retreating, fleeing from the glare. It's working. Keep moving, I urged, feeling strength I hadn't known I had. But then the hounds lunged for me, snapping their fanged jaws. I stumbled backward, still holding onto the vision of my mother, the tears streaming down her face igniting a painful fire in my chest. I could almost hear the memories flaring to life, the laughter, the warmth that seemed so distant now. Face me, I shouted, attempting to swing the light like a weapon. I will not be afraid. The shadows writhed, a swirling mass of fury and torment. They formed grotesque faces that whispered my fears, showing glimpses of moments I wished I could forget. Loss, regret, betrayal. Each insidious word felt like a dagger, but anger burned away the panic. I was not alone. I wouldn't let my mother's pain drown me again. Release her, I screamed, thrusting the light forward. You will not take her from me. Not again. With that command, the shadows started to twist violently, recoiling from the light. I felt something shifting within me, as if a dam was breaking. Memories surged, faster and faster, each one a flash of clarity. She had protected me, shielded me when I was too weak to stand on my own. Help me alone. I turned back to my mother, now illuminated in a soft glow, her face both familiar and foreign. The pleading in her eyes felt real, visceral, and I reached out to her. I'm here, Mom, I called, desperation clawing at my throat. But before I could pull her into my embrace, the shadows surged again, roaring with rage. They lashed out, twisting around me like a storm, the light flickering wildly. The force of their wrath slammed me to the ground, and I gasped for air. Do you want to know the truth? The voice from the shadows laughed, taunting and cruel. You're about to uncover a secret that will shatter you and everything you hold dear. Suddenly, the room flickered into eerie silence. The darkness pulled back like a shroud. I could see my mother clearly now, her face stricken with fear but also pride. No matter what happens next, she whispered into the void, her demeanor steady, you have to remember we all have our shadows. Sometimes you have to confront them to find the light. As reality twisted again, the air thickening with tension, I braced myself. The shadows stirred, tendrils reaching out toward me. This was a battle now, not just for her, but for the truth of my very being. What are you hiding? I challenged the darkness, forcing my voice above the ominous whispering. In that moment, the shadows lunged, ready to reveal the secrets that could bury me or set me free. What was waiting in the depths of my mother's darkness? And would I survive the revelations that were about to unleash themselves? The shadows roared, a tempest of swirling darkness that twisted and lunged toward me. My heart pounded in rhythm with the chaotic energy, every beat a reminder of the urgency. This was more than a confrontation. It was a reckoning, a battle not just for my mother but for the very essence of who I was. I was diving into a chasm of secrets long buried, far deeper than dust and despair. Face your past, the shadowy voice bellowed, and I felt its intent wrapping around me, suffocating yet strangely invigorating. I thought of the letter, the words that had pierced my heart, and of the figure of my mother cloaked in despair. I'm not afraid to know, I shouted, drawing every ounce of courage I could muster. Your darkness has held me back for too long. The shadows paused, almost recoiling from the strength of my declaration. I could see glimpses of swirling faces within them, pain, regret, loss, but I pushed that fear aside. My mother needed me. I needed the truth, no matter how ugly or terrifying it might be. Help me, please. Her voice trembled through the wreckage of the shadows, echoing through my very being. I reached out, the spark of the light I had conjured flickering in my palm. And in that moment, I steadied my breath and focused. With each pulse of light radiating from my heart, I felt the connection to my mother strengthen. I'm here, Mom. I yelled again, my voice stronger, more resolute. With a fierce resolve, I stepped deeper into the darkness, lifting the light high above me like a shield. The shadows recoiled from it, their tendrils snapping back in a final act of defiance. You will not take her from me. The shadows gathered, roaring in anger as they writhed around me. You think this light can save you? Do you not see the truth you are unearthing? Your mother's past is twisted and stained with betrayal. As those words struck, dark images surged before my eyes, cloaked figures, whispers of betrayal, my mother weeping at lost choices, and the face of a man I thought I knew but never truly understood. Cold knot twisted in my stomach. This was bigger than I had anticipated, but there was no turning back. Taking a deep breath, I steadied myself and focused, searching for my mother's figure within the chaos. There she was, tethered to the shadows yet bathed in a faint glow of light. Mom, trust me, I called out, and I saw her eyes widen, glimmers of hope piercing through despair. The shadows howled, thrashing violently. Do you think confronting them will change the past? You will call forth every dark memory, every bad decision. But I was done running from the past. I needed closure. No, I roared back, the light in my hands growing brighter. I will unearth the truth no matter what it uncovers. My voice thundered through the attic, carrying the weight of my resolve, and one swift motion. I pushed forward, the light flooding the space, scattering the shadows momentarily. I grasped my mother's outstretched hand, fingers curling around hers, warm, alive. Despite the chaos, her touch felt like coming home. Yes, she exclaimed, her own voice weaving through the shadows. Together we can face this. With our hands clasped together, light pulsating from our entwined fingers, we faced the shadows head-on. The horrifying figures tumbled backward, diminished, their screams fading, echoing hollowly off the attic walls. Help me, the voice trailed off into an eerie silence, leaving behind a feeling of unsettling calm. What I had expected to be a foreboding confrontation morphed into something unexpected. A fragile reconciliation. The shadows twitched, swirling slower now, almost like living things encased in brittle vulnerability. Each grain of darkness seemed to tremor as if realizing their reign was over. Mom, we need to confront the truth together, I said softly, clutching her hand tighter as memories bled into the air, the laughter of a simpler time, fragments of love, pieces of long-forgotten dreams. Every moment, every choice, had woven us into this tangled narrative of despair and hope. I was so afraid of what you might uncover, she admitted, tears spilling freely now mixed with relief. I wanted to protect you from the pain, from what I let happen, what I did. I gazed into her eyes, tears of my own mingling with the remnants of fear. But we're stronger together. It's time to let go of what holds us back. With that, I raised the light once more, pushing against the fading shadows. No more secrets, I declared, and the air around us crackled with energy. The remnants of despair melted away, fading into the light, dissolving like mist under the sun. The shadows fell back, hissing in retreat, unraveling their long-kept silence. I could feel a sense of freedom washing over us. A final release, heavy chains dissolving into nothingness, revealing the beauty of truth and memories. And then it was quiet. The room settled, calm cascading over us like a soft blanket, the burdens of the past dissipating. I looked at my mother, recognition dawning in our eyes. We faced the darkness together, I whispered. Yes, she murmured, smiling softly, a tear glistening like a star igniting hope in the depths of night. And now we can finally be free. With the shadows extinguished, the way forward lay open brighter than ever as we stepped from the oppressive darkness. Together, ready to embrace our story as it unfolded anew. From that day on, Wilson Manor became a sanctuary of light, where truths were spoken and memories were cherished, paving pathways to the future with every new dawn. We had conquered the fears that had loomed so large in the dark corners. We would not let them shape us any longer. And as I gazed out the attic window, taking in the morning sun, I knew whatever storm came next, we would face it together with love as our anchor and truth as our guiding light. Now that you've journeyed through this roller coaster of emotions, share your thoughts. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories that are coming. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this spectacular ending. You've been part of this amazing community. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything,